Apparently, we have been officially labelled the angriest women in Europe.
Just why are women in the UK so furious?
There's now an anger gap. Women are angrier than men. Just over the last few years, this has happened across the Western world.
A quarter of females in the UK reported feelings of rage, compared to just 1 in 7 on the continent.
British women as well, I was thinking about this, are starting to become quite famous for their anger.
Are you surprised by that, Marielle? Are you an angry woman?
Oh, I'm very angry.
This is pure gold. Yes, yes. British women are officially the angriest in Europe. Nearly 1 in 4 filled with rage, and that number jumped 47% in just 1 year. Meanwhile, the rest of Europe stayed completely stable.
Nearly 1 in 4 of us are filled with rage compared to just 1 in 7 on the continent. Well, I might have some ideas. Here are 7 reasons why women are mad as hell.
Now, before we get into the 7 reasons this woman gives for why British women are so angry, I want to ask one question that nobody in any of these clips asks. If British women have more rights, more education, more career opportunities, and more legal protections than any generation of women in history, why are they the angriest in Europe? That question does not get asked because the answer is uncomfortable. So instead, we get 7 reasons. Let's go through them one by one.
Ain't that a man?
Number 1, health. We moved this year on the Global Health Index from 41st position last year to 48th position, the lowest since they began collecting data 5 years ago. That pushes us out of the top third of all countries globally, which, considering we have the world's 5th largest economy based on GDP, is kind of a joke. But it's also not surprising when you consider NHS waiting lists. Bad for everyone, of course, but 57% of people on the waiting list, women. Of those who've been waiting a year or more for treatment, 58.1%, women.
Women live longer than men. They use the healthcare system more across their entire lifespan. Of course, they represent a larger share of waiting lists. That is not oppression. That is utilization. Men die younger, develop heart disease earlier, have higher suicide rates, and retire sicker. But there is no anger index for that. When women dominate a statistic, it is evidence of inequality. When men dominate a negative statistic, silence.
Number 2, the gender pay gap. It still exists. It's still substantial. It's 12.8%. It means that every year women miss out on around £2,500 on average and work for free for the first 6 weeks of the year. You're welcome, lads.
The foolishness. You're welcome, lads. I love that energy. So let me match it. You're welcome for working the dangerous jobs, the oil rigs, the construction sites, the sewers. Men die on the job at 11 times the rate of women. The gender death gap is real, and it never makes the anger index. When you control for occupation, hours worked, and experience, the pay gap nearly disappears. What remains is a choice gap. Women choose different careers, different hours, and different risk levels. That is not oppression. That is preference, and preference has consequences. You're welcome, lads.
I'm thinking the day-to-day things in all of our lives. Like you say, the trains maybe aren't working. There's a strike yesterday. The potholes on our roads.
Number 3, speaking of unpaid labour, women do 29% more unpaid caring responsibilities than men, and we also do double the amount of childcare.
You also lose money. Every child you have, 4% of your income, you lose every single child you have.
She's got me angry now.
Women do more childcare because most women choose to. Research consistently shows that even in dual income households, women prefer to be the primary caregiver in the early years. That preference is valid, but you cannot simultaneously demand men do more childcare and maintain the expectation that the man who stays home while his woman works is not attractive. The foolishness. Those two positions cannot coexist. And here is the line nobody will say on Loose Women. You cannot complain about doing childcare while also choosing to have children with a man who works long hours to provide for those children. The division of labor you are describing is the partnership. It just stopped feeling like one when the effeminist narrative told women the domestic side of it was beneath them. You're welcome, effeminist.
Number 4, we keep getting murdered by men. There's been 2 really high-profile cases just this week alone of men in the UK murdering their female partners. And in one study, looking at 23 European countries, the UK ranked 6th overall for the highest number of femicides by a romantic partner or family member.
Men are 3 times more likely to be deleted overall. Men are the victims of the majority of violent crime in the UK. When a woman is deleted by a spouse, it is called a femicide and treated as a national crisis. When a man is deleted, and it happens far more frequently, it barely registers. The UK ranks 6th in Europe. That means 5 European countries have higher rates. Are those women angrier? No. So the deletion rate does not explain the anger gap. Next.
Number 5. We still keep getting blamed for the crappy actions of men. Just look at Nicola Sturgeon. Her estranged husband was found guilty of embezzling £400,000 from the SNP. But you'd think she'd done the crime from all the scrutiny she's been getting.
Oh my goodness! Nicola Sturgeon was the First Minister of Scotland. Her husband embezzled £400,000 from the party she led. She is being asked questions about it. That is not because she is a woman. That is because she ran the organization. If a male prime minister's wife had stolen that money from his party, he would face exactly the same scrutiny. That is not sexism. That is accountability. And accountability does not have a gender exemption. At least it shouldn't.
Number 6. Are rubbish paternity and maternity policies. A government committee even found last year that the UK has some of the worst parental leave policies in the developed world.
The UK has up to 52 weeks of statutory maternity leave with 39 weeks paid. That is among the most generous in the developed world. Paternity leave is 2 weeks. 2 weeks! The real inequality in parental leave policy disadvantages fathers, not mothers. But she is not angry about that, because this conversation was never actually about equality. It was about benefits.
And finally, number 7, just gender equality in general. One major study last year found that looking across every single local authority in the UK, none of them had reached gender parity. And the saddest thing about all this is that everywhere that had the most amount of gender equality had the best outcomes for women and men. So higher pay, lower economic deprivation, more productivity. So yes, women are angry, but men, maybe you should be angry too.
Gender parity as a goal means equal numbers of men and women in every role, regardless of preference, aptitude, or choice. That is not equality, that is a quota. And the places with better outcomes she mentions are richer places. Wealth produces better outcomes. Correlation is not causation, but nuance does not fit in a 2-minute video.
So I think the volume of expectation and responsibility that falls on women's shoulders is really quite shocking.
Well, because if you go abroad, whenever you go abroad on holiday and you see the Europeans, you know, and it's 9, 10 o'clock at night and there's families sitting outside, they're not all in because of the weather, because the weather's lovely. And they all sit outside and they're all sociable with everyone, and there's no on their phones getting wound up by things or watching things on telly. And it's just much more, for me, when I see them, much more of a chilled, laid back, just family-orientated life, rather than us all sitting in because we're freezing and we can't sit outside in June.
But we can't do anything about the weather, can we?
Now here is the most interesting moment in all of these videos, and almost nobody noticed it. One of the women on that Loose Women panel accidentally identified the real answer while making a completely different point. She said, "When I go to Europe on holiday, I see families sitting outside together at 10 p.m. No phones, no rage scrolling, just community, just family." And she said it feels calmer. She is right, and she does not realize she just dismantled her own argument, because that is not a policy difference. The Europeans she is describing are not angrier or less angry because of legislation. They are calmer because of culture, community, family structure, relationships that are not mediated by a screen feeding them outrage content 24 hours a day. Which brings us to the part of this conversation that nobody in any of these clips wants to have.
What makes the good life? Does money buy happiness? Is happiness a choice? Which country is the happiest?
We compute the average life satisfaction within each country by taking the average response from roughly 1,000 people per year and look at how they evaluate their life as a whole on a one-item measure.
That asked people to rate their life as a whole on a scale from 0 for the worst possible life, 10 for the best possible. How do they rate their state of life these days?
Top of the rankings again this year are the Nordic countries.
The World Happiness Report 2026 just dropped. Finland is the happiest country in the world for the 9th consecutive year. Denmark 3rd, Norway 6th. These are not poor countries. These are not countries without problems, but they consistently produce happier people. And here is what those countries have that Britain does not.
They do have a lot of prosperity, but importantly, that wealth is distributed much more equally than we find in other places. The second thing is they've got a healthy life expectancy, wonderful public health systems that are affordable. The third element is social support.
These findings are a real challenge to other countries if they want to be happier, to study how the Nordic countries do it.
Strong social trust, community infrastructure, genuine work-life balance, and family support systems that are built into the culture rather than fought over politically. But here is where it gets really interesting. Thailand ranks 66th in gender equality. It has more poverty than the UK, less empowerment by every ethnicity metric, and Thai women report higher happiness than Thai men, not the reverse. The Philippines ranks 20th in gender equality, best in Asia, and reports relatively high well-being despite economic conditions that dwarf British challenges. What do these places have in common?
Why is this?
The value and importance of the family as a centerpiece. The links across generations that other countries strive to maintain.
Family structure, collectivism, a cultural framework that does not tell women their domestic role is oppression and their independence is the only path to fulfillment. The research is consistent and it is devastating for the ethnicist narrative. Urban Thais have 9 times higher depression rates than rural Thais. As westernization spreads, happiness drops. That is not a coincidence. That is a pattern. And the 2026 World Happiness Report identified something else that should concern everyone.
So there's big gender differences here, which comes up a fair amount. So for girls, we see that mean life satisfaction is the highest at light levels of social media use, like less than an hour. If social media is so great, then why would the people who use it the most have the lowest well-being? And that's especially what we see among girls. And another interesting result, among girls, you look at those with the highest life satisfaction, you choose a 10 on that 0 to 10 scale. Again, in almost all regions, it's those who don't use social media at all who have the highest life satisfaction. And I think that's really telling.
Heavy social media use is driving down happiness among young women in English-speaking countries, specifically the US, Canada, UK, Australia, and New Zealand all show significant happiness drops among under 25 women that do not appear in non-English speaking countries at the same rate. The report's editors called it the single most important finding of 2026. Finnish girls are not rage-scrolling content designed to make them angry at men. They are outside, with friends, with family, in nature, in community. British women are on TikTok watching videos that tell them the patriarchy is responsible for the potholes and the train strikes and the weather. And then someone makes an anger index and acts surprised by the results.
We are getting angrier. UK women are 47% more likely to be angry than we have been in previous years.
I think as well that, my worry about it is, is it great that we now overtake men for anger? Like, is that a good thing? Is anger being harnessed as energy for protest and genuine, change? Or is there something a bit darker to this, that we are spending too much time online? We've become inflamed by all these negative stories. We're constantly being fed, and we're actually just, bathed in this kind of white hot rage. That what is that doing to us? I don't look at angry men and feel jealous. I mean, I'm a bit sort of...
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's not the glass ceiling that we should be wanting to break. No. It's not what we should be wanting to emulate.
British women are the angriest in Europe. That is real, that is documented, and it deserves a real answer. But the 7 reasons this woman gives are either misleading, incomplete, or deliberately ignore the male side of every equation she raises. The real answer is sitting right there in the data that nobody in these clips wants to read honestly. Women in countries with strong family structures, genuine community, and lower social media consumption are happier. Not because they have fewer rights, not because they are oppressed, because they were not told that everything around them is the reason they feel bad. Finland has gender equality and happiness because equality was built on top of community rather than instead of it. Britain built independence and called it liberation. And now 1 in 4 women wakes up filled with rage and cannot understand why. The Effeminist experiment promised fulfillment. The anger index is the receipt. And until someone is honest enough to read it, the number will keep going up. Listen to all, follow none.
Steady treated, we get tricked. Steady kisses, we get kicked. It's a hard knock life.
Management, we working. Protect yourself at all times. This video has officially been highlighted.